In a few days, payday na. Pero ang tanong, sapat ba ito? Will we have enough? And the big question that we're really asking ourselves is, how can I survive financially this quarantine period? I'm Edric Mendoza, and this is Fundamentals. The principle we want to look at is the idea of frugality. Pagtitipid, not being kuripot, but instead finding ways to really say, I can actually live simply. We need to be able to ask, how are we doing right now with our finances? Here are some basics that might help you. I want you to ask yourself, what are your total income sources? What are your total expenses? And then subtract the two. If it is positive, good for you. If it is zero, still good for you. If it is negative, then we have some concerns. Do you have a healthy amount of spending? Healthy is 50, 20, 20, 10. 50% are for your needs. Kung nagbabayad kayo ng rent, kuryente, water, 20% will now be your wants. Wants would be things like bumibili ka ng mga bagay online, shopping, or this might be money you would spend for travel. The next 20% would now be your saving and investing for future goals. The final 10% is giving. Now, because it's COVID, magbabago yan. So let's talk about this. Ideally, you want to keep building your 20 and 10. The saving and investing for future goals and giving. But because it's COVID, you now want to start finding ways to build what's called liquidity. Kailangan meron kayong accessible cash. Yan pong ibig sabihin. When we start being frugal, when we start making tipid, you will need to have cash because we do not know what will happen. Ang pwede natin gawin, galawin natin si needs, 50%, at saka si wants, 20%. And let's see if we can find ways to cut so that you might have more cash at hindi nyo kailangan galawin yung 20% at yung 10%. Ang una-una nating tingnan, ano sa palagay ninyo? Yung wants or yung needs? Wants. Because we're stuck at home, maraming bagay na hindi natin kailangan. There are many wants which we now have to force ourselves to ask whether we need to actually spend on. Now is the time to start cutting all of these wants and saying, hindi naman natin kailangang bilhin to eh. That will help give you extra cash. You want to look for what are called money vampires. Pwede nyo rin tawagin money mosquito. Ito yung mga malilit na bagay, mga gastusin natin na as you add them all up, these small things can become big. What are examples of money vampires? Too big. Are we conscientiously checking that we don't open up the tap as much? Electricity. Are there ways for you to also cut that? Clothes and the laundry, right? Because we're not using as many clothes, then you can also time these cycles so that you don't have to spend as much for laundry. Pati yung mga groceries natin, yung mga bili natin. Now that you're in quarantine, you realize I can actually be intentional in looking for them and cutting all those things, and all of that will add up. That is a way you can find that you can save and cut on the expenses, whether they are needs or wants. You also want to consider itong Bayanihan Act natin. For many of us, we have been given the opportunity to waive payments for this period, and it's delayed. At dahil po doon, we need to remember that if we delay it now, we will end up paying for it at the end of possibly May. So please make sure you prepare for that. Paano ba tayo pwede mag-prepare? Bayaran nyo na ngayon. Kahit hindi deadline, kahit na wave. Follow the same rhythms. Now, if you really need the cash, then avail of that Bayanihan Act. One of the things you don't want is may ipon siya, biglang naubusan ka ng cash pagbayad doon. Lalo ka magkakaproblema. One way you can also help is boosting income. How can we now respond to this change to boost our income? You really want to go online. Look for opportunities for you to do things maybe on top of what you're doing in the online space. And there are so many opportunities to sideline because many people, many businesses are pivoting to go online. You can look at buy and selling online. Are there things lying around in your house that you realize you don't really need, some gadgets, some electronics na pwede nyo rin ibenta so that you might be able to have extra cash? The only limit to these income sources is your imagination. So find ways to look for opportunities to sell. Are there things you can do or make or create in your house that you can now sell to people around you also, either online or in the people in your neighborhood? Final thing, is there an opportunity to to repurpose your assets. Meron ka bang mga bagay that you're already using, let's say for a sideline or project or even business, that you can now repurpose and sell into things that will give you an income source. Now is the time to be very resourceful and to be very imaginative so that you can stretch your income by finding these other income source. Finally, what industry are you in right now in terms of your job? Will this be a continued sunrise industry, or will it now become a sunset industry? Sunrise industry, because of COVID, yung mga tao medyo paranoid to be around people. Mass gatherings will be a lot less. More people will want or be forced to be doing things online. Yung business mo ba or the company you're in is in that type of industry that will help in that area. And if you are there, good for you. Stay on. If you're not in that situation, you're most likely in a fast becoming sunset industry. So that is my final tip for you. Look at the income potential, not just that you have right now, but also that will go into the future. Frugality is a necessity right now, isn't it? Kailangan natin dahil COVID. So we're finding ways to get as much cash as we can. But let me encourage you with this. Even outside of this pandemic, and I am confident that this will end at some point. But when that happens, I encourage you to still embrace frugality. Why? It is something that will change the way you handle money forever. I had a guest before who talked about the fact that she was a millionaire secretary. Ang pangalan niya is Ditas Comona. At nung tinanong ko siya, Ditas, ano bang kwento mo? She is a single mom. She was able to raise all her kids and they got to graduate from good schools. And she kept her job as a secretary. Ang tinanong ko sa kanya is, paano mo nagawa yun? How did you do that? And why did you stay on as a secretary? She said, alam niyo po, I found ways to adjust my financials, my money situation. And one main thing that she taught me is this. She said, bilang secretary, wala namang big bonuses yan, wala namang variable pay commissions. She would get inflationary increases. But this is what she said. Every time I had my increase in income, kahit maliit lang, I kept my lifestyle the same. The expenses niya, pareho pa rin. And because of that, income less expense, tumaas ang kanyang naiipon. And because she embraced this idea of frugality, I can actually live this same way anyways. She was able to get more and more, and as she was able to make more and more, she smiled at me and said, kaya ko po nagawa ito. This is how I was able to do it, to set all of my kids and see them all do well. So, that is something that inspired me. Now she is doing her job just because she enjoys it. The money she's been able to save up and been able to use. So kayo po, the same thing. I encourage you, embrace frugality as a way of life, even outside of COVID. Build it now because there's an opportunity for us to change it because we need to. But after this, carry it on and see how that will create great impact. And for you, greater reserves and money, which you can do so much more of into the future.